revolted and threw over what is going on in the world and be disgusted with it and so on. It is absolutely natural that the work you produce is the revolutionary work.
Banksy as an artist has become well known over the past few years, but has remained pseudo-anonymous. All we know is that he lived and began his work in Bristol, initially as a stereotypical graffiti artist, tagging etc., but he evolved to stenciling, because it was quicker and sharper, but more it allowed him to put deeper significance into his work with the time space he was dealing with. Banksy has made his name without the art establishment, exhibiting his own work illegally on street corners straight to society, expressing his mind on capitalism, war, hypocrisy, through politically provocative stencils that satire the institution and evoke ethical and moral beliefs. His work is thought-provoking, free and intended to reach out to the everyday person that possibly has an opinion but feels unheard or maybe unable to express it. Banksy's work is unique, so much so that he doesn't need to sign it anymore for you to understand or realise that it's his work. As soon as you see it, you just know. Why? Well, there are themes throughout his work. Rats. They represent the triumph of the little people and the unloved. They seem to crop up everywhere that Banksy's been. Policemen. Well, I don't think it's that Banksy hates the police, it's just that they represent so much. Hypocrites, liars, and people who lecture you on how to behave. Children. Well, they obviously stand for the future, but also the innocent. Now, whatever the theme, be it soldiers, monkeys, the elderly, manipulated famous photographs or security cameras, be sure that it will have controversial humour and deep significance embedded, because for Banksy this is the only way it can be. As he says, try putting thought-provoking art intended for the glance of passers-by inside 2 minutes on a street corner. In recent times, Banksy has evolved his technique even further than stenciling. Installations, statues, reworks of old masterpieces, original bits of pure vandalism, and new satirical canvases. All in all, this has created a huge media frenzy towards Banksy.
Now, Monet's lily pond littered with shopping trolleys, a dead museum guard and a whole load of rats. It doesn't sound very appealing, and it's certainly not for the squeamish. But in fact, it's what the graffiti artist Banksy hopes will attract people to his latest exhibition. Now,
welcome back. Now, he faced Israeli army fire to pull off his latest stunt. The subversive graffiti artist Banksy, whose works are usually found adorning the streets of London and Bristol, has now created 9 spray paintings on the controversial barrier which separates Israel.
This is the kind of art that resonates with many British urbanites, and they've rushed here to get a piece of the action. There's been buzz on internet blogs for weeks about this disused shop on London's Oxford Street being taken over by street artists. Inside, they find an informal assortment of the witty, the wild, and
And I'm Dave Clark. This is KCAL 9 News at 10. Is it art or is it animal cruelty? This exhibit and the elephant at the heart of the controversy.
Supposed to be an exhibit protesting world poverty, but it's angering animal rights activists instead. That's because it features an elephant painted from head to toe.
After following this media hype for quite a while, I came across this piece about 2 men who were convicted of criminal damage for vandalising a Banksy. And this started a whole new thought process and a whole new notion, and got me thinking, has Banksy become an accepted vandal? The definition of vandalism is an action involving deliberate destruction to private or public property. It's a form of criminal damage, and by the book, Banksy is a vandal. His work is classed by Peter Gibson, the spokesman for Keep Britain Tidy, as unrepresented graffiti that blights communities. And he further asks the question to Banksy, how would you feel if someone sprayed graffiti over your house? You can hardly say that Banksy's your archetypal graffiti artist. He definitely isn't. His work thinks out of the box and is, if anything, original. And he returns to this Peter Gibson remark by saying, yes, I may be a vandal, but if we look on the bigger scale of things and we take your statement that my work blights communities, then the people who truly deface our neighbourhoods are the companies that scrawl their giant slogans across buildings and buses, trying to make us feel inadequate unless we buy their stuff. They expect to be able to shout their message in your face from every available surface, but you're never allowed to answer back. Well, that's what blights our communities. It's not the graffiti artists, it's the big businesses. Nonetheless, still, how come Banksy is accepted as a vandal? Well, I think it comes down to the fact that his art intrigues and mystifies people because he speaks up against the man elusively, without fear of retribution. This kind of work brings a shared dream out of us all, and makes us feel a connection towards him. For is it not every child's dream to become a masked superhero that stands up for what's right, and speaks for the people? So Banksy fights the establishment with a hidden face, and acts as a mouthpiece of society. He is our modern day Zorro, if you like, and you feel united to him almost secretly, because you admire that he is fulfilling the universal dream. So when you recognise a Banksy in the street, or on the tube, it makes you feel special and involved in what he does, almost as if he's speaking personally to you. But what if you don't recognise his work? Well, I believe that there's a section of society that definitely don't recognise his work. They probably don't even see it as vandalism or graffiti because it's so sharp and visually acceptable that they accept his work as part of society unknowingly. So all in all, I believe the public, the general public, accepts Banksy's work either because they have this bond, this connection with him, or because they're naive to his existence. I've come to understand further about Banksy's aim and why we all feel so connected to his work just by reading his manifesto, a diary account by a lieutenant from World War II. This A4 size sheet describes how after the liberation of Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, a shipment of lipstick started to give the detainees their humanity back, that people once again could see colour and they were able to be individuals after being merely a number for so long. Obviously now, bringing it into context and think about it in contemporary terms, I believe it's trying to say that as a society we conform to too much and that we've lost our identity and we're living bland and dictated lives where opinions don't matter. Furthermore, I believe that Banksy's work is trying to put life and identity back out on the street walls in an attempt to awaken the opinions of the everyday person that has forgotten to question or stand for what they believe in. His work acts as the lipstick to give us our identity through awakening us to our beliefs. I truly believe that's what it means, and it explains why people feel so connected to his work, and it explains why people don't ask for his work to be removed. It's the colour around our cities, it's the slight change, the thought-provoking slight change to our everyday routine that makes us smile. Banksy's work still is vandalism, so why isn't it being dealt with by the council? Well, it comes back to the point I was making earlier about the way that people feel so connected to his work. In Bristol, public voted against the council to save a piece of work by Banksy. 97% of citizens voted to save the piece. So because his work is so widely admired, the council would get rebuked if they even attempted to remove his work. Still, how can it be that his work is even accepted by the institution? I would like to believe the fact that they see how society appreciates Banksy's work, but I don't think this is true. The fact that now